What is up? 2 minutes in the box with Gordo. Today we are going to be recapping last night's games, tonight previews. Then we've got the standing updates, playoff potential matchups, if the season ended today, latest news and rumors, and retirement of a legendary land thrasher, and a new team that could be a high free agency potential for attraction. Okay, first up, let's get to the games that we had last night. We had the defending Stanley Cup champs, the Florida Panthers against the Toronto Maple Leafs. Toronto got a head start, and the Florida Panthers, Sam Bennett, Sam's club, let's say this 2 goals of the game, spectacular job. Sam Bennett, he is a very valuable piece to the Florida Panthers. And I got to tell you, if I were the Florida Panthers, give Aaron Ekblad a discount and then give Bennett a bigger paycheck. And maybe I would say Brad Marchand on a 1 year deal. Like, I'm just speaking and spitballing here. Yeah, Toronto, they're 4 points behind in the Atlantic Division now. Those are crucial points right there. But Florida, they got the upper hand, and they got the win, they got the dub, they deserved it. They definitely deserve the win. And Sergei Bobrovsky, congratulations to him, 425. He is in the top 10 in wins by a goaltender in the NHL history books. Wow, that is pretty darn impressive here. I mean, Sergei Bobrovsky, he's in that rare category. Undrafted, went to the Philadelphia Flyers, and the Philadelphia Flyers mistakenly trade him. I mean, let's put it, 424 wins, passing Tony Esposito. And he's going to be getting 425 potentially on Saturday. For a guy like him, Sergei Bobrovsky, he's won it all. He's won a couple of Vezina trophies. He's won a Stanley Cup. He's got some good statistics and categorical awards. He is definitely a player that I would definitely have in the Hall of Fame someday. Oh yeah, Sergei Bobrovsky played spectacular. The Florida Panthers played spectacularly well. Yeah, that was a good win by Florida. And then we go over to the Boston Bruins and the Ottawa Senators. Linus Ullmark played spectacularly well, and he made one hell of a save that could be save of the year. He looked spectacular against his old teammate Jeremy Swayman, and the Bruins. They're not looking so well, losing 6-3. Ottawa, they increased their lead into the first wild card spot, and it's going to be intriguing. This Ottawa Senators team, they could actually make the playoffs for the first time since 2017, where they were a goal away of going to the Stanley Cup Finals. And this Ottawa Senators team, they could be making some interesting headway noise. All right. This is going to be a very interesting, scenario. And then now we got over in the Eastern Conference with the Tampa Bay Lightning, Philadelphia Flyers. Flyers, heck of a game for them. 4-3 shootout win. And I'll say this, what a game for Owen Tippett and Bobby Brink. Cam Atkinson coming back from the American League, playing from his former team and from family and friends. Spectacular game. And Victor Hedman, 40 assists so far this season. Very impressive indeed. And I gotta say, Philadelphia, they're somewhat surviving, but I believe it's a little too late to say. Yeah. And the Pittsburgh Penguins and the St. Louis Blues trying to increase their chances of making into the wild card. It's diminished. Pittsburgh Penguins winning 5-3. Ryan Graves getting his first goal of the season. I remember a few years ago that he was one of the best plus minus players in the NHL, and now he's basically an afterthought. He's basically doing his job, but not getting the points and production that he once did when he was playing with the Colorado Avalanche. And let's just see this. If you're looking at the numbers, Sidney Crosby, he's got 49 assists so far this season. He's still a crafty, swifty, like playmaker and a great two-way player. Sidney Crosby is just that dude. Unreal. Now we've got Vegas Golden Knights and the Columbus Blue Jackets. First up, Aiden Hill signs a 6-year, $6.25 million contract extension with the Vegas Golden Knights. That is $30.5 million. Good for Vegas, keeping up their goaltender long term. Now they finally have a goaltender that is not in bankruptcy mode and trading, one of the greats of all time. And Jack Eichel, congratulations to him becoming the record holder for most points in a regular season for a Vegas Golden Knight member. And I'll tell you, 79 points, pretty darn impressive. And, Mark Giroux had 75 and William Karlsson had 78. Jack Eichel just like blow the top off. It made it look easy. And Jack Eichel is a superstar and he is on a mission to win another Stanley Cup. He is a real damn good player. Look at this. It's unbelievable. Looking at his numbers, 79 points, and Jack Eichel could be getting 100 points for the Vegas Golden Knights. Just simply wow. And here's an upset right here. It was a little bit of a weird game between the Oilers and the Devils, but the Devils prevailed 3-2. Impressive win. Jasper Bratt, underrated player, 56 assists so far this season. This dude, 57, I should say, 57 assists. Very underrated player in the NHL. Jasper Bratt is one of the most underrated players in the NHL. You got to look at this guy. This guy is one of the most underrated players and most undervalued players. And the Devils, they came out on top 3-2 against the Western Conference champ Edmonton Oilers. Very impressive. New York Rangers and the Minnesota Wild. I got to tell you, Minnesota, they are struggling like hell. And they're going to be a wild card team. They are a wild card team right now. They're going to be either 1 or 2 wild card. It's pretty damn bad if you don't have Kirill Kaprizov on your team. He was all banged up and injured. That is bad. That's a bad omen right there. That is just a bad omen. And the Rangers, they increased their odds of trying to make it into the playoffs, but it's becoming day by day where the Minnesota Wild and the Rangers, they're both trying to cling on their chances and hopes of making the playoffs. It's not looking good. I mean, the Rangers, though, getting 2 points, the Wild getting 1 point. Impressive, but I mean, what's going to hold them back? Starts and stats and injuries. That's what's going to hold them back. What could have been? Now we got an interesting game out in LA between the Washington Capitals and the LA Kings. Ovi shutout, 3-0 LA Kings. What a shutout win. Quinn Byfield, Fiala, and Warren Fogle. Spectacular game. And looking at who got the shutout of the day, I gotta say, Kemper, unbelievable. What a damn good victory by Darcy Kemper for the LA Kings. And then the final game, we've got the Chicago Blackhawks and the San Jose Sharks. Macklin Celebrini against Connor Bedard. And, what a game with Will Smith. Will Smith played very well. Will Smith played one heck of a game for the Sharks. He is that dude who's going to be like he's still young. He's still young. He's still trying to get the ropes of the NHL. William Eklund and Celebrity. That's the trio you're going to be building around. They've got a very young team right now. And it was a struggle for the Blackhawks, though. It was a struggle. Yeah. And now let's get over to tonight's games. We have 6 games tonight. Very interesting games. A lot on the line here. You've got the Detroit Red Wings against Carolina Hurricanes in Raleigh. Carolina gets another 2 points potentially. They maintain that second place spot. But the Red Wings, though, they need those 2 points to keep up in that crazy tight wild card in the Eastern Conference. They're playing the game like Ottawa and Columbus. They're ahead. Detroit's got the Rangers and they've got the Islanders, the Bruins, the Canadians. I mean, everyone's clamped up together, but the Red Wings, they got to get something going. And then you get in the Eastern Conference, you've got the Oilers against the Islanders. High power with McDavid and Draisaitl. The Islanders, though, the Islanders, they're somewhat still in it, but I just get this feeling that we're going to see a massive makeover in the offseason. And we've been hearing Kyle Palmieri gaining a contract extension, but we've been hearing John Gary Pajot and Anders Lee and Ryan Pulak and Scotty Mayfield could be on the trade block. Those guys could be on the trade block, bought out. It would be a darn shame, but crucial game. The Oilers, they know that LA is very close on their tail for that second spot in the Pacific Division. All right, now we go over to the Dallas Stars and the Winnipeg Jets, though. This is an intriguing potential second round matchup between the Stars and the Jets. Yeah, I gotta say this one will be close. Dallas, though, I just think that Winnipeg's been struggling a lot lately, and I'm just gonna go with my gut with Dallas. Really like their team. I think their depth is heavily improved, but Winnipeg, though, they're gonna bring a little grit and toughness, and Winnipeg and Dallas will be a very close matchup. All right, in the next games we've got is Colorado and Calgary. McKinnon against Huberdeau, man, and Cal McCarr against Mackenzie Weegar. It's a good matchup. It's gonna be intriguing. I'm gonna say Colorado. Colorado. Nathan McKinnon's just spectacular. His stats show everyone he's one of the best players in the world. Hart Trophy candidate, obviously. He looks very poised, and they're gonna get that increase in that third spot in the Central Division. And then you've got Nashville and Anaheim. Intriguing matchup. I'm gonna say, this one would be a very close one, but Anaheim is looking for ways to win games. They want to get into that wild card spot. They have heavily improved in their second year with Greg Cronin. I'm gonna say Anaheim and Nashville would be like a overtime shootout game, and it's gonna be fought tooth and nail. I'm gonna go with Anaheim. And in the final game, we've got the Utah Hockey Club against Seattle Kraken. Seattle Kraken, they've been falling on hard times. I mean, a couple years ago, they went to the second round of the playoffs, but they have some very good young players on that team. Utah is on a mission to make it to the playoffs for the first time in their franchise history. I'm not counting the Arizona Coyote days or the original OG Winnipeg Jets. Utah is an expansion team. So I think Utah's got a special thing going. I am going to go with Utah to win this game. And looking at the standings right now, today's standings, you got the Florida Panthers at first place in the Atlantic Division with 85 points. Toronto at second with 81. Third, you've got Tampa Bay with 79. And meanwhile, in the Metropolitan, you've got the Capitals with 94, 82 for Carolina Hurricanes, and 78 for the New Jersey Devils. Wild card one, Ottawa Senators at 75, and 70 for the Columbus Blue Jackets. Tampa Bay, Ottawa's got 4 points behind you, and you better win some games. And Columbus, I know you guys lost, but you guys are still in it. But the Rangers winning in overtime yesterday, they are tied with you guys in points. You better do something quick because the Rangers, Canadians, Red Wings, Bruins, and the Islanders, maybe the Philadelphia Flyers, could be chomping at the tail, chomping at the bit. And it's going to be a great, like, nose hair, like, very small centimeters, inches of closeness of making the playoffs. Any of these teams, it could be a fun, unique, entertaining matchup in the first round of the playoffs. Now we go in the Western Conference. You've got the Winnipeg Jets, obviously, with 95 points. Dallas Stars, second place, 86. Colorado Avalanche, third with 81. Meanwhile, in the Pacific Division, you've got the LA Kings at second place now, winning against the Washington Capitals, and the Oilers now at third place. And no surprises, the Vegas Golden Knights with 85 points, first spot. And now in the wild card, you've got 79 points for the Minnesota Wild and 71, virtually tied with the Canucks and the Calgary Flames. And meanwhile, Utah and St. Louis and Anaheim are in the mix for a final wildcard spot in the Western Conference. Wow. if Utah wins, they can slip into that final wild card spot. And then Vancouver, though, and Calgary, if Calgary wins, they increase their lead and their chances. Man, I just love March Madness. I might do a bracket, but I am never going to see that money from Warren Buffett in my lifetime. Never. We're never going to see that ever again. All right, now let's get over to the news and the rumor mill. All right, so we heard Ilya Kovalchuk, the number one overall pick by the Atlanta Thrashers in 2001, has finally officially retired from professional hockey, well, KHL and NHL. Looking at Ilya Kovalchuk's numbers, I gotta ask everybody in this hockey room and in the podcast: is Ilya Kovalchuk a Hall of Fame player? I'm gonna read the numbers off to you guys. All right. I gotta say, this is a very, delicate situation. Ilya Kovalchuk, he's won like some pretty unique records in the NHL. So let's see here. He's got 11 shootout goals in the regular season in the NHL in 2011, 2012 with 11. Most this game deciding shootout goals in a single season, 7 in 2011, 12. And a single season record for the Atlanta Thrashers with 52 goals in 0506 and 0708. And he is a former Rocket Richard Trophy winner with the Thrashers with 41 goals. So in his NHL career, Ilya Kovalchuk's played 926 games, 443 goals, and 433 assists with 876 points. And meanwhile, in the KHL, 334 games, 147 goals, 205 assists, 352 points. I mean, oh boy. I gotta say, this is a very tough decision to make here. And Ilya Kovalchuk, you know, winning a gold medal in the Olympics and winning a bronze medal in the Olympics, MVP in the Olympics. I mean, this is a very tough choice. I mean, the NHL is an NHL all rookie team, first team All Star in 2012, second All Star team in 2004, 2002 Young Stars MVP. And then you've got 3 NHL All Star games, a Rocket Richard Trophy, and I can't pronounce it, Kalamov Trophy for the best Russian player in the NHL. I don't know if this is going to be, it's a difficult to say. Kovalchuk, very good shooter. I mean, one of the best pure goal scorers in the 2000s. I mean, that contract he signed when the Devils and that trade from the Thrashers to New Jersey, I just don't think that contract was not, it did not age well. $102 million. And think about why we have 8-year, 7 to 8 year contract for max deals in the NHL. I just don't think that, yeah, I mean, during his time with the Thrashers, he was a phenom. He was a monster. The guy could score goals like there was no tomorrow. I mean, his spot, bang, bang, bang. It was like what it's like, look at Patrick Laine now. Look at Steven Stamkos in his prime. There's a lot of players, who emulated that game. Even Brett Hull back in the day. I mean, Kovalchuk was a dangerous sniper. He was dangerous with his hands and his speed. But defensively, I just don't think he was that good defensively. He was a liability. Looking at his numbers, he was a very damn good hockey player, but it didn't reach that whole potential of a face of a franchise. He had 8 goals in the playoffs in 2011-12. I don't think he was, I don't know. It's very controversial and sensitive to say. Do I believe Ilya Kovalchuk is a Hall of Fame player? I'm on a crossroad on this one. I'm barely going to say 51, maybe 52% saying yes, and the other 48 is no. That's a tough one. Ilya Kovalchuk, is he a Hall of Fame player or not? That is the question. I'm split down the middle on this one. All right, now let's get to one of the other topics we got to. Like we already congratulated Sergei Bobrovsky, 424 wins, getting to that all-time 10th all-time record over Tony Esposito. And we mentioned to Jack Eichel breaking William Karlsson's record as the Vegas Golden Knight most points in the regular season, and the contract extension of Aiden Hill. And now we are looking at some very interesting story between Stan Bowman, and there was a subpoena that was deposed of a lawsuit back with the whole video coach with Kyle Beach, and they can't reach that, that subpoena because the any personal jurisdiction, because he's a citizen of Canada, and you can't reach it. And looking at some of the all that intel, and I still can't believe that guy's got a job in the NHL. Stan Bowman has a job in the NHL again. I still think it's ridiculous how he was covering up a very, very like this was an assault, and they let this guy, the video coach, serve jail only 6 months and only be out free again. I think it's a bunch of crap, and Stan Bowman should be ashamed of himself. I mean, your father was one of the greats, and you emulated the success, but you should have been honest and truthful of what happened. I don't care. You guys were in the middle of the playoffs with Joe Quenneville and the Blackhawks. Be honest. Just say what really happened. You know, I just don't like how you protect. Like, oh yeah, we don't want this to be a distraction, but now years later it becomes a distraction. It's insulting. It's insulting, like how victims get abused and no justice. It's just ridiculous seeing all that crap that happened. Just not a fan of that. I still can't believe Stan Bowman's got a job still in hockey over this. And we go over Brock Besser with the Vancouver Canucks. Do I believe he's going to maintain and stay in Vancouver? I'm going to go no. He's going to be a Minnesota Wild next year. He's going to be a Minnesota Wild, and him and Kirill Kaprizov, they're going to form a dynamic duo of assassins. They are going to be shooting pucks like there's no tomorrow, and I think he will regain his scoring touch. And then you've got some interesting developments here, with the Colorado Avalanche. They are not sure about Brock Nelson's long-term contract. So Brock Nelson, he could be either going back to the Islanders next season in this offseason, or he's going to go play for the Minnesota Wild. And, Colorado's got some plan Bs, with Jamie Benn, Claude Giroux, and John Tavares. You know, Colorado still has a window of a Stanley Cup, but I don't know who fits in the mold. John wants to stay. Jamie Benn wants to stay where they're at, but Claude Giroux, that's a guy you would circle on there saying, okay, Colorado was looking for Claude Giroux a few years ago, and they did not get him in the trade. He ended up going to the Florida Panthers. I think Claude Giroux is going to, let's just see how he does in the playoffs, with the Sens. But I just think he's going to go to Colorado next season. In this offseason, I believe he's going to sign a 1, maybe 2-year deal with the Avalanche. And we mentioned earlier about Kyle Palmieri, with Isles. I think they're very close on a contract extension. But Ryan Donato and the Blackhawks, though, I mean, it's good that, he didn't get traded. His value is at an all-time high. He can double it to 4, maybe 6 million. But I worry that, if he goes to another team and then his production declines, then it would be like it was a one-off type of thing. Yeah, I just don't think it will be, like 9 out of 10, a lot of those guys go on runs, the unimaginable runs. Look at the Hamburglar, Andrew Hammond. Remember him? 10 years ago, the guy was a phenom, like he carried the Senators and his remarkable Jeremy Lin run, whatever. And then after that, his swan song was done. It was over, and they became just average. I mean, like catching lightning in the bottle is not easy, guys. If you open that bottle and that lightning goes away, you're not gonna have free electricity for life. Then you got to pay the bills to the Edisons. And if you would have kept that electricity, you would have been very brilliant, like Nikola Tesla. Hmm. Oh yeah, and now. This is going to sound very crazy. All right. So in the NHL, a lot of free agency markets, everyone wants to win. Some people want to lose. There is a new team that is ready to become a big player in free agency. We've seen the Florida Panthers and the Tampa Bay Lightning, the Dallas Stars, Nashville Predators, Vegas Golden Knights, Seattle Kraken. You know what they all have in common? No income taxes in those states. So we're talking about the state of Florida, Tennessee, Texas, Nevada, and Washington State. And coming soon is the state of Ohio. Vivek Ramaswamy, who's running for governor for the state of Ohio, is going to be getting rid of no income taxes in the state of Ohio. He's going to get rid of it. He's going to get rid of the income taxes, and Columbus Blue Jackets could be a premier destination in the NHL. It's going to be, I'm like, wow, Columbus Blue Jackets. Man, I never thought I'd say this, but wow. So Johnny Goodrow was onto something. So that's why he went there. There's something in the air that Columbus, Ohio, and the state of Ohio could be a place to go to for taxes. There's no income taxes in the future in that state. I mean, could you imagine Ohio with no income taxes, and it's going to draw a lot of free agents all over the NHL. Michigan's going to be jealous. Indiana's going to be jealous. Illinois, Wisconsin, a lot of states in the Midwest, even in Pennsylvania, they're going to be so jealous that Vivek Ramaswamy is going to get rid of the income taxes, and there's going to be no income taxes in the state of Ohio. I mean, I was born in Michigan. I was born to be hating Ohio, but wow, just simply wow. Now you're going to have, not only Florida, Texas, Nevada, Washington, Tennessee, and now Ohio. You're going to have 6 states in the United States of America that have no income taxes. And there is a reason why you might be seeing Cincinnati or Cleveland, one of those two, might be getting an NHL franchise. I mean, now that right there is a way of like, just like, wow, like, so, Ohio, you've got Columbus, maybe Cleveland, and or Cincinnati. One of those two, that includes the Columbus Blue Jackets. You know, if I'm a free agent and I'm like, okay, Florida Panthers, they don't have the room, they don't have the cap. The Lightning, they don't have the room, the cap. Let's see, Nashville, maybe not. Dallas, they're stacked to the brim. Vegas, they're stacked to the brim. Seattle, I'm down to Seattle and Columbus. And I mean, just a coin toss of best of seven. I like Seattle, but I might just go with Columbus. Columbus, Ohio could be the next big thing in the free agent market. I mean, if and when it happens, you would not be surprised to see a line out the door of seeing NHL players be like, I want to go play in Columbus. There's no income taxes in the state of Ohio. Hell yeah, sign me up because I want to keep most of my money in my salary. And it would make people not leave Ohio. That is brilliant right there. I would be a free agent and I'm like, okay, sign me up. I would love to play in Columbus, in Ohio. We don't know if and when it's going to happen, but that's what's going to happen. If and when Vivek Ramaswamy becomes governor of Ohio, Columbus Blue Jackets would be a hot free agent market in the near future. I mean, don't forget, Cincinnati or Cleveland, one of those two could be coming into the NHL with Atlanta, Houston, and Phoenix. I mean, that is going to be a very deal shaker. And you're going to be like, wow. I'm like, just wow. Columbus in the state of Ohio becoming a big player in the NHL. All right, this has been 2 Minutes in the Box with Gordo. Hope you guys have a great rest of the day. We'll be back here tomorrow morning for another episode, 2 Minutes in the Box with Gordo.